Welcome to the podcast. If you don't run an agency yet, or you're still kind of figuring out what to sell, this probably isn't for you. Hey, I'm Nick, and on this show, we talk about agency owners and operators that are actually doing real numbers, breaking 100K months, even $1 million months, and how to scale past it. I've built and sold multiple agencies myself, and today we work with companies doing over $100 million in annual revenue combined across them. So there's no get-rich-quick answers here. These are real conversations about what's working, what's breaking, and what it actually takes to grow and scale without losing your mind. So if you're in the game and you're trying to level up, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. All right, so we are here at the Scale and Profit Show, episode number 2, kicking it off. Win. What are we covering today?
So one of the most common challenges that we hear from agency owners is we have really good people, great team. We have clients. We're signing enough clients already, but we're not profitable. Our profit margin is below 10%. We want to invest into growing and scaling the agency, but how do we do that without grinding for more clients? So spending more money on marketing and or either like hiring more expensive team members or throwing money at the issue. So what are some of the main, if you had to like double the profit margin from an agency in the next, let's say 3 to 6 months without spending more money or spending as little as possible, what are some of the first 3 or 4 things that you would do, Nick?
Yeah, so I mean, like, look, there's 3 key things. So like the what makes it tricky is the timeline, right? Like if you're saying a year, there's like a million answers available. But if you're looking at more like a 3-month, 90-day thing, there's really only 3 primary levers that are going to do it for you. Number 1, you have to look at doing some cost cutting by being smart about the ratios and the percentages of specific line items inside of your income statement, your P&L. That's number 1. Number 2, you have to be able to drive better client experience so that you can generate upsells and referrals, because these things take a lot shorter time to boost profitability than, for example, figuring out how to close more sales and generate more leads, right? And then number 3, which is somewhat linked to number 2, but not actually, is amending the business model slightly so that the current clients and maybe even the current lead funnel that you have now set up can close clients at a higher lifetime value / monthly revenue amount, right? So those are the 3 things. So number 1, it's like really about, right sizing cost lines on the P&L. Number 2, all about driving that client experience to increase LTV and retention. And number 3, you're going to have to create a system that demonstrates your uniqueness to be able to drive higher closes for the exact thing that you're doing now. Some people call this, for example, like mechanization, or it's really about having, a proprietary system or a proprietary way of doing things that other people do as well, but it's your own spin on it, which gives clients a reason to believe.
Got it. I think one of the things we want to talk about is, does that mean I have to lay off people?
Yeah, I mean, like that's a tough one, right? And sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes the answer is no. But what really matters here is like a few core numbers that I don't think people talk about enough, which is what percentages should people have as cost lines on their P&L versus what is called AGI. And if people don't know what AGI is, AGI is top line revenue minus direct pass through costs. That equals the AGI. And so it's agency gross income. Okay, top line revenue minus pass through costs. Using AGI is important as a denominator. So all of the other costs in the business, if you take any one line, whether it's payroll, non-billable payroll, billable payroll, sales costs, marketing costs, software costs, etc., rent, doesn't matter. You divide these by AGI to figure out a percentage. And this is why AGI matters so much, right? You need to have the AGI so that you can benchmark against other agencies what your costs are relative to them. But here's the key numbers. Payroll, all billable people, and by the way, when I say payroll, I also include contractors that are doing client work. All payroll and contractors that do client work should come in at no more than 45% versus AGI, agency gross income. Of that 45, 30 of it is billable people, 15% of it is non-billable people, which gives you the 45. Sales SG&A is sales general and administrative. This is basically all of your non-people costs that go below the AGI line. Okay, so this is things like rent, all your software, sales and marketing costs like media spend, trade shows, whatever else have you. That should be 20 to 25%. 20% when you are kind of just, growing, but maybe growing slowly. And if you're going through an aggressive growth phase, like for example, you're trying to grow by 30, 40, 50% or more this year, you're probably going to boost sales and marketing costs up more, and you're going to end up at 25% SG&A. If you do the math on this real quick, you figure out, well, 45% goes to payroll, 20 to 25% goes to SG&A. You should have a profit of 30 to 35%, right? Now, most agencies, and I'm going to say like 80% plus, like aren't actually hitting this right now, right? So that
I
is
feel
step
like
number one.
they're all kind of not hitting it by design. I mean, they never either they were given like outdated information from like agency experts, consultants from 20 years ago, where they say you should aim for 15-20% net margin, which is outdated, I guess. But also, they never actually consciously think to get high profit, I have to get my cost in line to a certain numbers and benchmark.
Correct. So you've nailed it here. Like, look, people aren't even benchmarking this stuff like at all. And that is the actual number one problem. It's like it's sort of kind of throwing past at a wall and seeing what sticks rather than saying like, look, these are my budgetary allowances for each aspect of the business, right? If we want to break down SG&A even further, as like, sales and marketing costs, non-people sales and marketing costs should come in anywhere between like 7 and 12%, right? Rent should be no more than 4%. Ideally, it's even lower or even zero if you're remote. Software, ideally, no more than like 3 to 4%, right? So when you start doing all of these things and start benchmarking all of these things, like people very quickly realize that they're overspending money in order to deliver what they're delivering. Like a recent client example, they came in with a 32% sales general and administrative, and they weren't in a growth cycle. Very quickly, we were able to cut out 12% SG&A, and that made its way straight to the bottom line. And we accomplished that in about 2.5 months, right? Because there were some notice periods for some softwares. We had to pay like 30 days, 60 days notice, things like that. But that 12% got brought back in and it hit the bottom line. And for an agency that was only doing 10% at a time, that on its own doubled its profit. There's a couple key tips here, though, when it comes to controlling sales general and administrative costs. These things need to be on a cadence. So, for example, software costs, like they should be audited every month or two at maximum to see who uses the software. Can we cancel it? Can we downgrade to a cheaper version of the plan based on our usage, etc.? And whenever you onboard a new software, you need to like cut another software because like these things can very quickly bundle and spiral out of control. That was one of the problems that this client had, for example. The other thing with SG&A is that people basically make a bunch of one-off calls. So this is what happens. They say, hey, this month we're going to attend the trade show, blah, blah. The SG&A is going to be really high. It's going to lower our profit. Well, next month comes around and they see a new opportunity and they're like, okay, like this is just a one-off. So we're not structurally increasing our costs. So it's okay because, obviously a structural cost is a way bigger deal than a one-off cost, right? But the problem is that because the agency is now in a position generally where it's not crippled by lack of opportunity, it's actually crippled by opportunity. There's always an opportunity to spend money on something to hopefully get like ROI out of it. And so people basically start making strings of calls on one-off costs that are like, well, but if this works out, or if that works out, basically they're at the roulette table betting on numbers, hoping that their number hits with these one-off costs, except that because they strung them all together, there's one-off costs every single month, which means that now they're structurally below this allowance. When the right call is that they have to actually make an allowance for these one-off things per year and then stick to it because it can't drag out for, 9 of the 12 months or even 12 out of the 12 months.
Got it. So that's on the SG&A. What about the billable people cost?
Generally, the billable people cost is not so much about cutting people. It's generally about capacity management, okay? Because what ends up happening is that as you grow, most people don't have a capacity management system, so they don't understand when their team is full. As a consequence of this, when we sell more, our teams tell us like, hey, we're busy, we need more staff. And so you believe them and you listen to them and you hire more people. The problem is that people are quite horrible at estimating how busy they are. And by all data that I've seen, by my personal experience across hundreds of these, I can tell you that people don't actually think that they're not busy until they hit 40% capacity. So think about it. If somebody is at 50% of their capacity to do billable work, they're going to tell you that they're too busy to do the work. This is the problem. And so this is where a lot of owners say to themselves, hey, when I was, like a 5 or 10 person shop, my profit was super high. Yeah, I was working hard, but like our profit was amazing. Now I'm twice the size and my profit number is the same, but my percentage is cut by more than half. So and by the way, I'm working even harder. So I'm working harder for the same or less actual profit at the end of the day. And it's exactly because of this capacity planning issue that occurs in almost every single agency, right? Like 99% of agencies at some point have this problem and or currently have this problem. So the right call is to actually put into place these capacity measurement systems along with proper forecasting. And when I talk about forecasting, I mean business development forecasting, how much money's coming in that's brand new, as well as forecasting current clients and how much they're going to spend in the next 3 to 6 months. Okay. And then you combine that with a capacity report, meaning how much work does every single person actually have? And there's two answers to this. Okay. If you measure hours, it's easy because capacity is based on the hours assigned to people, and you assign hours to people a month or two in advance. So you know exactly how busy they are. Okay. Again, and that capacity assignment is based off of the forecast, both biz dev and current client. If you don't measure time, there's this thing called DLER, which is direct labor efficiency ratio. And what that enables you to do is basically just take the top line revenue that a person is going to do or manage, and then you divide it by the cost that they have against the agency. So like their salary, like, and payroll taxes, all that. And you divide how much revenue they're going to be managing and or doing like work wise by their salary. And the ratio should come out to 3.33. If it's below 3.33, they need more work. If it's above 3.33, they're on the right side of the equation.
So higher, better. The higher it is, the more efficient it is.
Exactly. So 3.33 is the baseline. And generally what happens when people say, well, I'm hiring more people than ever. We have twice as many people, but we don't have twice as much revenue. Like, this is exactly what happened, is that they just kept hiring because they didn't have a method to actually figure out, do people people are telling me that they're busy, but are they busy? And this is where, owners start thinking like, are people really busy? Because like the math doesn't make sense based on their previous experience, and they're right. It's just that they don't have the math and they don't have the dashboards to prove that it's right.
Got it. I guess the last part would be, so we've talked about cutting costs and the two line items. The second piece or the last piece would be, how do we extend the lifetime value of a client to maximize that, I
Yeah.
guess,
So
LTV?
I mean, like, look, item number 2 is really about the client experience, right? And then the third one is about, creating like a mechanism, which means like your own proprietary way of doing things, right? When it comes to client experience, generally what we need to do is set up some sort of client feedback loop. Okay. And a lot of people say, well, I meet with my clients weekly or monthly or whatever it is. It's like, that is a requirement. It's not necessarily a client feedback loop. A client feedback loop is something that you do with the express purpose of making your service and service quality better. Okay. And there's 3 dimensions to this. Service, like good agency service, comes down to 3 core items. Number 1, experience. Number 2, expectations. And number 3, education. It's basically what I call the 3 E's. And by putting in place this client feedback loop between a point of contact, which is usually escalation of like the current account manager, that person's job is to make the service better by boosting ways to make education better, experience better, and expectation setting better with the client, so that way we can retain the client better for the long run. Interestingly enough, when you boost these 3 things, the client becomes happier because we've set the expectations better, we're making the experience better, and we're educating them better. And education is very closely related with driving insights to people. And this is fundamentally when you hear clients say, well, I don't feel like you're leading me. You're not showing me what's next. What they truly mean is that you're not giving them insights and education. So this is the added value that we need to do and like really hone in on through a client feedback loop. Okay. By doing this, the outcome is that we are going to be able to upsell those clients more. Number one, because we're going to understand them better and their needs better. And we're not out here to upsell to just upsell for our own purposes. By doing the client feedback loop appropriately, what we're going to be able to do is identify things that would enable them to generate even better results. And then we're going to upsell them that. So we're not upselling them needlessly. We're upselling them to the things that they need anyways that will enhance what they already do with us, right? The second outcome of doing this is going to be increase of lifetime value, not only because of the upsell part of it, but also because now the client feels heard, we're anticipating their needs, and we're fixing the problems that they have with us very quickly before they even voice them because we're coming to them. And this is a very important thing. Like, there's a big difference when you go to the client to figure out what the problem is before it becomes a big issue for them. If you go to them and fish out the problem, it's not really a problem. But if the problem grows because we didn't do that, and now they bring the problem to us, now it's a big problem, right? So whoever takes the initiative has sort of like the high ground here. We go to them, problem not big. They come to us, problem big. Because for them to even bring it up with us, the problem has had to grow and grow and grow. Okay. That's why the client feedback loops matter. It's going to increase the lifetime value overall. So number one, we're increasing lifetime value through upsell. We're also increasing lifetime value because they're going to retain for longer because they're so much happier with what they have. And this is going to boost our LTV. So like, for example, imagine if you had like a few clients, because going back to the initial question, how can we double profit in the next 90 days? Well, think about it. If there's a client or two or three, I don't know, like that drops, that churns every single month, that just, gives their notice to us. What if we started doing this properly all of a sudden and the clients that were about to leave us are no longer about to leave us? We've extended their life, like we've basically bought ourselves time for 2 to 3 months, which means that we're going to retain those clients. So like instead of, in the next 3 months, 3 to 5 clients leaving us, only like say 1 or 2 leave us. Well, the difference between that is extra profit in the bank account at the end of the day, right? Because it's just going to be additional top line that we didn't have before. And so, yeah, it's like sort of a band-aid, but it will also, this lifetime value increase will have like more global implications where not only like in the short term, the profit has a chance of doubling, but also it could just double for the long run because it just kind of like keeps going. And the better the loops get, the better the LTV gets progressively because this is an iterative process. It's not like a one and done process.
Got it.
So fundamentally, having your own process is like, look, there's a ton of agencies out there that buy meta ads, Google ads, do content. Like, look, whatever the niches that you serve, there's probably a whole bunch of other agencies that do the exact same thing. But here's the problem, okay? If you sound like everybody else, then you become a commodity, right? Like you're very interchangeable. You're not a strategic partner. However, if you have a track record of generating people results, and I'm sure that you do because that's why you're in business, you probably deliver the core service a bit differently, whether that's, again, Google Ads, content, doesn't matter, digital services, whatever. What you need to do is reverse engineer how you deliver those services and basically create a map or a step-by-step process that you can then use to not only train your people on like, this is the way that we do things here, but then once you complete that, you turn that outwards into marketing. So now it gives prospects that are coming in a reason to believe of why you're different, what your methodology is, what are your thoughts around what it is that you do, how it is that you do it. Because it's not what we do. We all buy ads, we all do content, we all do creative, we all do whatever it is, right? But how you do it is what makes you different. And having this mechanism or like this methodology in place where we can show people how we are different enables us to be able to charge more than our competitors that are doing the same thing. It also gives them a reason to believe, right? And by reason to believe, I mean, this is different. We've tried the same thing before somewhere else. They have this like method of doing things that based on everything that I'm listening to and hearing and reading, it seems more reasonable than the thing that I was doing before, right? And then you have examples backing up why this methodology works, etc. That enables you to sell your exact same product for more money. Additionally, when you turn this internally into your current clients and say, hey, after like all of our years, we figured out that this is sort of the secret sauce of how we do things. It's going to give them a reason to believe. And if they were potentially churning or like going to give their notice, now you've just bought yourself more time as well. All of these things are basically going to increase your profit, right?
To wrap it up, I want to emphasize that this is not theoretical. We've applied this exact same 3 steps to agencies that are churning 10%, 8%, 37% per month. And in as little as 4 to 6 months, actually cutting their churn in half, or by like 70% in some cases.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like what ultimately happens is that people think that profit is this like really hard, like ethereal, like pixie dust thing. It's not. It's a series of steps and actions that are very, very predictable. And I think where people like really get lost is that they're trying to do like 10, 20 things. And it's like, I need to improve my product, and I need to introduce AI to my product, and I need to like, do this other thing. And if I'm one funnel away from generating better leads and and it's like those things matter. I'm not going to tell you that they don't matter, but if you're trying to be more profitable, it's not going to get you there in the short term, right? Like it's not going to save your business. It's not going to save your business model overnight. Those things take longer, they take more iterations. But the things that we talked about today, the 3 things, like these things will turn your profit on a dime. Like when to your point, like some of these things, like we've done them for clients where a client was losing 40K a month, and 3 months later they're doing like 80K profit. So it's like 120K swing in 90 days. And it's like, well, how do you do that? It's like, well, you follow the 3 things and you do them well, and you do them like scientifically, and you do them like to the letter. So with a high level of discipline, and you move through the process one at a time very, very quickly, right? Like this is all about having like the systems and really the know-how of how to do it and focusing on the right things.
Yep. So to summarize the right things, number 1, know your benchmarks on your P&L. What are your non-billable costs versus your billable cost? And you have to know what is it and then what it should be. So knowing how you're going to benchmark against those numbers. Review your SG&A, your non-billable cost every 2 months, right?
Yeah,
Because cost.
especially definitely review your software costs every 2 months at bare minimum.
Yep.
That's a real big one right now.
So without that review, your costs will creep up. Right size or measure productivity of your billable cost so you can actually like optimize for that number. The second piece then is to improve the client experience, to improve the lifetime value, upsell rates and referral rates. And the third thing is to create or develop your own unique methodology, which has more to do with how you do it than what you do, because we all know at the end of the day, we all buy ads, we make ad creatives or whatever it might be. Our clients aren't going to buy more or stay with us longer because of what we do. They buy and stay longer and buy more because of how we do things.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. But yeah, like those are the 3 key takeaways I think here for people. Like if you're trying to boost your profit, like focus on these 3 things. Just for the record, what I would do is follow them in the order that we say to them. Start with your P&L, move into the client experience, and while you're working on the client experience, you can, once you've launched like the review of the client experience, start on your unique methodology. Because like, look, I'll tell you, like this thing is in everyone's heads. Like the crazy thing is that people are like, I don't have a unique methodology. And then you ask them, it's like, well, how do you deliver the service? And they begin to spew out every single thing of how they do. And it's like, you think everybody else does it the exact same way? Because they don't. So it's in your head right now. It's like it's sitting there just waiting to be harvested. So that is the order. Go 1, 2, 3.
Awesome. If you don't do those 3 things, ultimately what it's going to help you do is create a more profitable agency that does not require you to grind more hours or pay for more clients or just throwing money at the problems.
Totally. All right. Until next time, everyone. Thank you.